Hi guys, SC625MA here, and in this video I would like to talk about new Simchair MKIV line of hardware and its software. I would like to tell you about key features of new devices and most important what is so different about these devices and the new firmware that I decided to call it Mark IV, to give it a new major version number. So this will be one take video, so my English may be less than perfect in some places, so please excuse that, because I think that my efforts are better spent on developing stuff rather than editing videos and making stuff like that at this point. So let's start with discussing the most important change, which is the firmware. So the reason I decided to start the new line, and I felt that we needed some big and important change to be made, because we've simply run out of resources that were available with one Leonardo board. And even if we could stay with such design for a while longer, by optimizing stuff and everything, at some point later we would have faced this problem inevitably. So I felt like we need some seriously different approach, to continue developing Simchair. And after reading a lot of about stuff about Arduino and looking at joystick library and experimenting, I found the solution, and I tried it and it seemed to work, and then I tried it again, and it actually turned into the Mark IV firmware that we have now, that is functional, and we can fly with it already, and I will show you how it works in flight in the next video. So what's so cool about this new firmware, why it's so different, and why it will help us a lot in the future. So in Mark III firmware, all our devices had to be loaded into the memory, the flash memory of the controller, and there was auto detection of connected stuff, so to make it more user-friendly. It was cool because you just plug all the stuff you have into the controller and it works right away out of the box. Then you build new stuff, plug them in, and it works again right from the start. But such approach also had a huge disadvantage, that every new device will use what little resources in memory and RAM the Leonardo has. So huge stuff like this VRMax head, for example, it's really complex. It's a very advanced thing, and it uses like 150 joystick buttons for all the stuff in there, and it allows you to operate radios and some of the knobs of your helicopter in VR, and it's made in such way that you can easily operate all the major important stuff like radios and altimeter, VOR, etc. The most essential stuff for flying with direct key assignments, with discrete direct knobs, not with just some point and click stuff. So basically, it's an advanced device for advanced simmers, and it takes quite a while for resources of the master controller. It has 4 Arduino Pro Minis in it, and it's hard to fit a few of such complex devices into one single Leonardo at once. So that's why I understood that the current approach is flawed by design, and I decided to remake it differently. But I've been searching for a best way to do it for a while, and after some trial and error and googling and other stuff, I finally found a way. We just have to use the compiler directives like if defined, and put all our devices in these if defined blocks. Then the idea of the new software is that it's even more modular, much more modular than the third generation. So everything is separated from everything else. Every device can work separately from all other devices. Some stuff still requires some common variables to be loaded, but basically I try to keep the shared variables at possible instructions at possible minimum. So basically every device is separate, and any device can be used without any other devices. Even you can even use like B8 grip without the cyclic base, or you can use cyclic base without B8 grip and stuff like that. Although cyclic base, B8 grip, and pedals are tied in firmware because of force stream system and stuff like that, sensitivity switch system, etc. So this new approach, among other things, it allows us to fit much more devices. Actually, we can fit an infinite number of devices into one firmware. We can have like 100 tabs with different hardware, and we can only use like 3 of these 100 tabs, and we can still use a single controller, a single Leonardo board for this. This is cool. Then, as a cool side, effect, we can now use user created tabs. Like if I want to place an override for configuration of some device, I can just do it in by adding one more tab with my custom configuration for this device. Also, if I want to add some custom device I made to the Simchair, or if I want to deviate while wiring something, like for example, I have mistaken while following the menu and my head has different wiring, and I don't want to make the same changes every time when I refresh the updated firmware for the master controller. So I can now do it by simply adding the separate tab with overrides to my folder, and this way when I will be replacing the files for the master controller, my custom files won't be affected, and it will continue to work like that. I think this is really great, because why not? So I guess that's pretty much it with the firmware. Yeah, forgot about one thing. Actually, there's one more difference with how joystick objects are now generated. In Mark III, we had free joystick objects. Why free? Because Leonardo can only fit free joystick objects if these objects are big enough and have a lot of buttons and stuff like that. So I used all free just because I couldn't fit more. And they were always active, like even if you have one device, you had these three joysticks, everything. So now this approach has changed, and every single device now creates its own joystick. So like in the collective, the base will be the lever body will be a separate joystick, the head will be a separate joystick, and each head will be a separate joystick with a different ID. So this may work good in the simulator when assigning profiles, control profiles to these heads and the other hardware. So the stick will be a separate joystick, the grip will be a separate joystick, this stuff will be a separate joystick. Everything is a separate joystick with the correct amount of access and buttons and whatever it needs. So it will be easier to know what is where, and it might help with assigning control profiles various sims, like when you change the Huey head for the 412 head or the VRMax head, they will have different joystick IDs, and in theory they should, if your sim respects that, they should be treated as different joysticks. So it may really help. The downside is a slight overhead for more joystick objects, but now with new design we can neglect it because we can just add more controllers. So for example, I can plug my collective with the head, cyclic, this thing here we'll be talking about later, and the pedals to the first one, and then I can plug everything else I want to the second, the third one, and as I just told, every device can work separately. You can manually choose which device goes where by uncommenting defined lines in device definitions file. So you manually tell which device is connected to which controller, and this is cool because you can actually stack them infinitely. You can just use as much as you want. So you can have an unlimited number of devices connected simultaneously, and for connecting these controllers, you can use the USB hub that can be mounted to the chair, and you can still have one USB cable going from the chair to the to the computer. So I think this is very convenient. At least it removes any kind of any limitations, and it will be a good thing for further development of Simchair. So yeah, that's pretty much it about the software. Let's talk about new hardware, because hardware is also quite different from the MKIV version. So actually it's just the same stuff as Mark III lever. As you can see, it's very similar, but it it's basically strengthened. So this base is much beefier. It supports motion platforms. By design, it isn't afraid of such thing, such maneuvers. It will work perfectly. It supports easy calibration through side windows. Here you can see, if you remove it, you can see magnet. Here you can see the calibration screw. So if it's mounted and you want to adjust something, you just remove this thing and adjust the calibration screw. So then another cool thing about it is that while Mark III connective has this cable, and it's nothing wrong with it, this has two sockets. One socket is for connecting the lever itself, and another socket is for mounting extensions on top of the lever for connecting it. So as you can see, it also has the universal mount for extensions, and I will be talking about them in a minute. Right now there's only one extension, but it's a really cool one. So the new base also has the mode switch. It can be used either as a mode switch for certain levers, or as the just a regular joystick button with other levers. So you could have noticed that I'm actually holding an unfinished lever in my hand, not the complete one, like this one. So that's because the new hardware is also modular, and the idea of Mark IV line with hardware is the same as software. You can craft the separate models, and they all work separately. You can use any configuration you want. Like, you build this, this is a base. Then at some point in the menu, you add like lever bodies. You can choose from several lever bodies. For example, you can, if you see from here, it's actually the same lever. This is the same part. And basically you can install this lever without any changes to this base. You can also change this part, like just remove it and install the shorter version for the 412 style lever, and you can use any lever you want with this base. Should there be any other levers in the future, they will all be interchangeable. So I think it's one more important and I'd say really important feature is all devices of Mark IV line, they can be flashed through this Ethernet sockets. So no more disassembling stuff to flash new firmware. You just plug a special USB UART port to Ethernet cable, which you can of course make yourself. It's basically the pinout is on my site. You can look at the new Mark IV collective tutorial, and it's there. It's described there how to make one. So for different boards, there are USB UART ports that support DTR pin, which is the reset pin. Basically, if your USB UART board is equipped with the DTR pin, you don't need to press reset on the Pro Mini to actually flash it. And I remember a few guys had problems with flashing Pro Minis with the recommended in the past board, which was the prolific PL2303, if I remember correctly, which is no longer a recommended one because FT232L is much better. It has a DTR pin on it. You can easily, roughly for the same price, it costs a few dollars. Roughly for the same price, you can just connect the USB UART board to the socket, and it will flash the Arduino automatically without the need to press anything. But you can also reset the MCU manually by pressing this button with something like a pen or whatever. So this is great because now it means that we will have a really flexible way of updating software on the peripherals, which will also speed up the development, and it will make possible for users who are not familiar with stuff and who don't like to disassemble it. It will make it possible for these users to refresh their peripherals, and in turn this will allow me to the community to add some cool new features that require some support on the hardware side. So about the bodies of these levers, first two levers will be something new, because I wanted to make something that was not yet done in Simchair Lite, and that was the motion platform ready stuff. Because a few guys asked me if I can make the motion platform ready hardware for them, and I said, before that I said no, I can't, sorry, it will likely break because lateral loads, this lever, this stuff here is actually weighs a few, more than a kilogram. It's a while, and lateral loads, if motion platform will do such vibration and shaking, it will kill this lever over time. I'm quite sure of it. So, however, this one, you can do whatever you want with it, but still, if you mount this kind of stuff, which still weighs like a kilogram or more, it still requires a counterweight. And then when you mount the pneumatic mod, when you mount the counterweight, then you have kind of large weights on both of the sides of the sink. It still won't be that great. So I decided we need something that will actually work without the counterweight and without the pneumatic mod. If the user wants to keep it simple. And for this I decided to design two levers with the heads integrated right into the throttle frame part 2. So as usual, inside of this lever we have throttle frame part 1, then goes the throttle grip, and then there goes the throttle frame part 2 that has the this stuff, this physical button, the mount point for heads, etc. So instead of all this heavy stuff, this is the simple collective Mark IV simple collective, new one, which is I really like it because it's simple, it's compact, it's cool. Actually, you can use it for stuff like light helicopters, R22, and stuff like that. So yeah, as you can see, it's really lightweight, it's compact, it's short, and it certainly can be used without anything, just with this friction tensioner. If you tighten it, it will feel great. It will feel as good as the Mark III simple collective, which was basically the axis only thing. So the second lever, this one is the simplest. It doesn't even have a separate Pro Mini board in it. And the second one I will be showing in the next flight video is the compact collective, which is a bit more functional because it has the same number of switches as the Huey had, but they are all integrated into tighten the compact enclosure. So which is again a throttle frame part 2, and it connects to the standard throttle frame part 1 and the standard throttle grip. So I think that's it about the all previous levers, as I said, are compatible with the Mark IV. So if you have Mark III levers, or you want to make stronger, you can just make this base and basically detach this and attach here. So that's it about the levers, the bases. So far the firmware supports only basic stuff, no head support yet, but I will be adding them on a time permitting basis. I think in about 2 weeks we will have support for all hardware we have in Mark III in MKIV firmware. So now I would like to talk about this little thing that I haven't yet announced on my site. This is the simple pedestal. So this is the first extension for the collective. It works like this. And it's fixed. So it can be connected to the collective in 2 ways. First one is you can connect it to the I2C hub here. The other way is you can also connect it through an internal, here we have a square hole, especially made for routing the 4-wire ribbon cable if you want to avoid connecting it through the external socket. In this case, the socket is still needed for flashing this board. So let's talk about what this thing actually does, because it's fantastic. I was thinking about what to. It obviously was a free space that I felt like we might use for something. Might have used. So I thought about just switches, additional joysticks and stuff like that, and then I understood that if we put switches here that will require you to take your hand from here to here and move it all the way here, it won't really be that comfortable and useful in flight and whatever. So after some thinking, I noticed that I love using real VFR maps to fly for navigation in VR, And before VR, I was using just paper maps, printed paper maps, or I was using my tablet with opened firmware.com, and it was cool. It was challenging because there were no moving, icon of your aircraft on the map, and you had to actually use, the surroundings to, like, rivers, mountains, power lines, and cities, whatever, roads, to understand where are you, right now. And it was cool, and actually it was challenging because there was quite a few times where I thought that I'm approaching an airport, and it was actually a different airport, and there was some confusion. It was also interesting because there were a few times when I have landed on fumes because of this, because simply being lost. And there are some areas where VR beacons simply don't work, like mountain areas and stuff like that. So it was cool and interesting. And in VR, it was hard to use it because the one great plugin we have for maps in VR is AviTap, and it even supports non-moving maps like PDF charts, and it even loads these charts fast. It's epic. But the problem is you have to move these charts with a mouse, and it may be quite hard because you have to let go of your cyclic, and then your aircraft goes all over the place while you're trying to hold it in a straight line with your left hand. It's not really comfortable. So I decided that we need to make something for to replace the mouse in VR. And then I thought that it will be cool to add some, generic joystick stuff like these switches. By the way, note how they are of different height, so you can instantly feel with your hand which switch you are touching, because they are all close together, and you understand where your hand is at right now when you touch it. So I thought that it would be a good idea to add a mini stick to control the mouse, and it took some trial and error to find the right speeds and sensitivity settings and stuff like that, and to make it right, to make it work. And then I have added these two buttons as mouse buttons, and this thing as the mouse wheel. And it turned out actually, it works great, because in all the simulators, operating switches with your mouse, so obviously you can mimic all your usual mouse movements with the stuff, and you can also use any knob in the cockpit with this little thing, and it feels really natural after a few times. And I've actually tried flying with it. I tried like changing radio frequencies in flight and everything, and it was working. I had to tweak the sensitivity a bit to my liking, but then it was great, because now we also have this thing here. It works either as view zoom axis when the thing is used, as intended for VR flying, or you can use it for controlling like the mixture axis, like if you have the collective lever and you mostly fly helicopters like me, and you want to fly like Cessna 182 from time to time, but you have nothing to control, your prop and the mixture, or something like TF51 and BCS. You can use, by the way, if you mount this lever at 30 degrees, which is recommended, I think, now, you can really use your collective lever with the compact head. I will show you it in the next video. As the airplane throttle lever, actually it works quite, convenient. So with a longer lever, it means roughly the correct movement. Of course, the prop lever on the collective is a bit out of place, but then it's still better than nothing. And it has 3 axes. It allows you to control a single engine prop driving airplane, so it's good. Why not? And it also really helps with flying in VR, because you can now move map. You can with this red button, the default option is to switch sensitivity of the cursor. So when you move it around, if you want to move it quickly, you press it and it moves like very fast. Then you press it and it moves like really smooth. And the stick itself has 2 speeds in it. So when you move it just a bit, it moves cursor really slowly. And if you move it to its full extent further, it moves it faster. So by the trial and error, I found that 2 speeds are actually the best option, rather than either analog or 3 speeds per length of this stick, because the stick is fairly, I should say, not the very sensitive and very precise thing, as you can expect from a gamepad stick. So basically you use it as a semi-digital thing, but it works great. You can trust me on that. So the as one of the guys pointed out to me, there's always more knobs than you can assign to all this stuff. So this is really cool for flying that sim. So you can you can just tune your radios without really looking at it or turning your head too much or zooming on anything with it. You can just quickly tune what you need, and it's great. But if you're just a generic flyer, this thing is much cheaper than this one, because it only has one encoder, and it simply requires less time to create, to build. So this thing should be good for everybody. So I guess that's it, guys. Thanks for watching this video. I will be showing this particular lever with this thing. I have another one assembled and mounted to my chair. I will be showing it in flight. I will be also showing the new Mark IV gimbal. I haven't talked about it yet in this video, because basically I have it mounted and I don't want to take it off because it's too messy. But probably the most important thing about it is that it's basically an improved Mark III reinforced gimbal. So the Mark IV one has 2 bolts for mounting the cyclic stick, and it has softer springs, and this allows this gimbal to work better. I have been testing it for a few weeks now, and it holds together very well. And I tried some light destructive testing. Of course, nothing too destructive, but like my 3-year-old daughter was interested in playing with it, and nothing broke. So I think it's safe to make now. It's really cool. It's more precise by design mechanically than the Mark III version, and with the cyclic gimbal, it should be really important. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and see you in comments in my site. Please feel free to ask any questions under the video, and hc605ma.org. See ya guys, bye.